And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm excited to talk to you about The Crew Mission Deep Sea. The Crew the original Crew was a trick-taking cooperative game, which is a very weird thing, a trick-taking cooperative game with limited communications, but has turned out to be one of my favorite games I've ever played. This is the sequel to it, but don't worry, you don't need to have played the first one to play this one. In this one, I'm going to talk about this as a complete game, and if you've played the first one, I'll mention at the end the differences for this one. I was hoping I would like it as much as the first one. Let's take a look at it and see. There is a 40-card deck here, which has 4 suits, yellow, pink, green, and blue, numbered from 1 to 9, as well as 4 submarine cards, 1 through 4. These are the strongest, most powerful cards in the game. Each mission that you play in this game, and you're going to pick a mission from the logbook. You can play these missions in order, or you can, I guess if you decide that you want to skip the first few easy ones, you can go farther. But you're going to pick a mission. These cards are going to be shuffled and dealt evenly out to all the players. In a 3-player game, one person has 1 extra cards. And then, after you pick the mission, you're going to play the game. Now, I'm going to talk about playing the game first, then we'll talk about missions. But like most trick-taking games, one person's going to go first, and that person is the captain. The captain is whoever draws the 4 submarine card. You'll tell everyone I'm the captain. That's one piece of information you can tell people. Other than that, you're not allowed to communicate about what's in your hand, except for one exception. Once per each round, you may place a card in front of you, putting your communication token, each player has one, on that card. If you put it at the top of the card, you're telling everyone this is my highest green card. If I put it at the bottom, I'm telling everyone this is my lowest green card. If I put it in the middle, it's my only green card. Now, sometimes you're not able to put a token on a certain card, in which case you could not play it. But you can put this information out as long as it's not in the middle of a trick or a round of playing cards. You can put this out. This card still counts as a card that's in your hand. The game comes with these cards that you can use to put in your hand to remind you of this fact. Whoever's the captain will go first. They can play any card they want from their hand, or one that's in front of them if they've used that piece of information. Each other player must play a card that's the same color. If you don't have any cards of that color, you can play anything you want. Whoever plays the highest card of the card that was led, the first card played, wins that trick. In this case, it was the captain, and starts again. The only time that's an exception, let's say the captain plays this yellow one, and the 4th player has no yellow cards, if they play a submarine card, the highest submarine card would win. If multiple people play submarine cards, then whoever plays the highest one will win the trick. You keep doing this until all the tricks have been played, or until the mission has been won or lost. So let's talk about missions. There's a logbook here of missions, and in each mission, they're going to give you some background storyline, and the missions are in order, and you have things here where you can check if you've done it or not. I don't ever really do that. But there's a difficulty number on the side here. You can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this number is going to go up. I think the last mission, you can see there's one here. You can just keep going 18 or 19 if you want to. Some missions have very specific rules. Some are timed. Some do. This one doesn't let you use the tokens, etc. But most of the time, you're dealing with that number. Like, for example, mission 5 just uses the number 5. When this happens, you're going to shuffle this deck of 90 plus mission cards. And you're going to look at the number of players. Let's say we're playing a 4-player game, and our number is 5. So here we have a 3. So I'll put that out. And I need a total of 5. So this 3 doesn't work. I discard it. This 3 doesn't work. This 3 doesn't work. This 3 doesn't work. This 3 doesn't work. There's a 1. So now I have 4. And I'm going to keep going till I get another 1. You're just going to keep discarding cards until you find the exact number that you need. So there we go. That's 5 points worth of missions. At that point, you turn these cards over, and these are missions that need to be accomplished by the players. Now, You cannot communicate. Remember I said you could use these tokens to communicate with other players. You can't communicate until after these missions are allocated to the players. Starting with the captain will pick a mission they think they can do. The next player picks one, the next player picks one. If you have fewer missions than a number of players, let's say it's a 4-player game, one person can skip. The captain says, I don't think I can do any of these. So they don't take one. Then the other players would all have to take one. But maybe the captain says, well, I can easily win the first trick. I mean, why not? I can play that 4 submarine card. So I'll take that. The second player says, I will win a trick using a 6. I'll not open a trick with pink or green. I don't think I can do either of those. So they might skip. Then the third and fourth players would each take one of these. You can't really communicate about why you're taking them unless the mission allows it. Then players will take them. You'll play the game. If you accomplish your mission, you turn it over. And if you finished all of them, you win. If you fail them, let's say this person does not win a trick using a 6. Then they failed the mission, and you can redo it. You can use the exact same cards again, or you can discard them and draw new ones. Let's take a look at some of these cards here. I'll win no 5s. I'll win more pink than green cards. I'll win exactly 4 tricks. I'll win as many pink as blue cards in 1 trick. I'll win the last tricks. I'll win more tricks than everyone else combined. I'll win exactly 2 tricks, and they'll be in a row. I'll win as many tricks as the captain, and you can't be the captain if you take that. I'll win none of the submarine cards. I'll win the 8 pink and the 5 blue. Here's a hard one. I'll win a trick using a 3. And remember, the difficulty of them is on the back. And some cards are harder for more players. Like, for example, this one here is only a 2 difficulty with 3 players, and it's 6 with 5. Why is that? I'll win a trick that contains only even-numbered cards. That's harder to do with 5 players than it is to do with 3 players. While other ones might be harder for 3 players. This one's a value of 3 with 3 and 2 with 5, and that's I'll win a certain number of tricks. You name that prediction. That might be easier to do with 5 players because you might say, hey, I'm not going to win anything because I don't have enough cards. And that's the way the game is played. There are so many of these cards. They're all different. They have different values. I'll never win 2 tricks in a row. I'll win the yellow number 1. I'll win no green cards, etc. You'll notice that my cards are sleeved here. I don't normally sleeve cards, but this has been played so much that it just takes its toll. The cards are good quality, but man, we played a lot. You'll notice that each card is a different color, but they also have a different symbol so that you can tell them apart, as well as really cool backgrounds. The theme's not very strong in this game. I mean, it's a deep sea mission, and yes, the logbook's like blah, 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 blah. No one reads this sort of stuff that I've noticed. But the cards work well. I love these cards. I never have to look it up and go, I'll win fewer tricks than anyone else. That's pretty standard. I'll win none of the first 3 tricks. I'll win these. I found that these were pretty neat, and they're really, you never know what's going to show up in any particular game. The game also comes with a communication token. You can use this for a slightly easier game. Players can flip it over, and everyone will pass a card around. This token comes. This is what you put in front of the captain so everyone remembers who that person is. The book comes with a rule book that explains everything and gives a quick overview. And also, if you don't know how the different cards work, it explains all the different cards. And then also a log book, which you can play with. But yeah, the components for the game, they work well. This game is phenomenal. It is, the original one was one of my favorite games. This is essentially the same game with differences, which I'll mention in a bit, but I love this. If you like trick-taking games, this presents such a unique perspective on the genre. Most trick-taking games are fairly competitive, sometimes cutthroat-like when you do so. Whether you're playing them in pairs or around a table, there's all different things going on, but in this one, it's cooperative. And it's not the only cooperative trick-taking game out there, but it is, in my opinion, clearly the best one. There's a lot of limited communication games out there, but this one does so in such a unique, interesting way. To place a card out there and say it's the highest or lowest or the only card, and I'll sit there and I think, because you might argue that you should count cards in games or not count cards, but in this game, you count cards. There's only 40. You are watching the color cards played, and you say, okay, Bob says that that 7 is the highest green they have. I have a 5 green. I need to take the 6 green. So how am I going to do this? And we're all in our heads working together using the limited amount of information. Now, this does mean to play this game, you will need to practice at it a bit, and if you have background in trick-taking games, whether they're simple ones like hearts or more complex ones, doesn't matter. That background is pretty good. I've played the crew with people who don't play many trick-taking games, and it takes a while to get to the table. You'll play a card, and everyone at the table goes, oh. And you're like, what? Because there's just this certain mindset that you get into when playing trick-taking games, and that's extremely prevalent in the crew. Now, the rules say in this particular one that there's the occasional you'll turn over 2 missions, which kind of conflict. They're not possible to do. Like, for example, let's say I'll win the first trick, or I'll win the first 2. Well, 2 different people can't take those. You just replace those. But that's rare, and I haven't seen it come up in my games yet. And so almost always, when you turn over these cards, it's possible. And you are together in your heads working out what is the solution to doing this. And because of that, sometimes there's stand-up moments of excitement in this game, and sometimes there is despair and anguish as you realize, I played the wrong card at the wrong time. And I love it. It is fantastic. I don't necessarily like games with no communication, but in this one, that single card you put out feels like it gives out so much information, and we can do it 4 times. And then the mission cards are so different and unique. Now, let's talk about the first one. In the first, this is pretty much the exact same game as the first one in how it plays. The difference here are the mission cards. In the first one, you simply turned over cards, gave them to players, and those were the cards they had to win. And there was 50 missions, and each mission had different unique rules. In this logbook, there are some missions that have different unique rules. In fact, there are a couple missions that ignore the mission cards completely. I find those to be okay. What I like is this mission deck. You don't even need the logbook. We can just pick a number. Say, hey, I feel like today we can do a difficulty of 10. Turn over cards, you get a value of 10, and play the game. That's it. And really, that makes it so simple to play and learn, but it also offers a deeper replayability than the first game, which I hadn't got tired of yet. But this one has even more. And in fact, straight out, I'm probably not going to ever play the first one again. I love the first one. I really love it. Like I said, it's one of my favorite games. But this one gives me even more variety and more options. I've played this a ton already. I plan to play this one until it wears out. I grew up playing some trick-taking games. I think the genre is a really interesting, fun one. The Crew is the best trick-taking game I've ever played without a close second. And this is better than that. It's also easily one of my favorite cooperative games. It is my favorite limited communication game. And just the joy when you sit with 2 to 4 other players and you at the table. And by the way, this one scales better than the first one. The first one was definitely easier with 3 and harder with 5. I still think this one's probably slightly easier with fewer players, but because of those numbers in the cards, it scales really well. But man, when you sit there, there's just such a moment of wow, and you can just play over and over and over and over again, and you can stop. You can play this for one or two missions, or play 20 in a row. It is that good of a game. I love this game. If you like the first one, you're going to like this one better. Hands down, I've yet to meet anybody, and I played this with a lot of people, who likes the first one better than this one. If you've never played The Crew before, jump on board. Try this out. If you like trick-taking games at all, check it out. If you're not a trick-taking fan, there's a possibility you're not a huge fan of this game. It's just possible because, the way that the cards work, it's a different mindset, but it's worth trying out. I played this game with people who don't play many games at all. Their whole focus is trick-taking, my in-laws. And I played this with people who play lots of games, and it is a winner. It is fantastic. So this is easily one of my favorite games I've ever played. Check it out. That's The Crew, Mission Deep Sea. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.